Hi everyone, I'm Steven, and today I'm going to show you how I used cardboard, tinfoil, and toilet paper to make a Hellboy mask. Let's get to it. To start off, I need to figure out how big my face actually is. To do this, I'm going to fold a big piece of aluminum foil and press it gently against my face to get the shape and to figure out where my eyes, nose, and mouth are located. After that, I'm just going to work with strips of cereal box cardboard to slowly make a cardboard dome over the shape of that I just made with the foil. First, tried making this nose out of cardboard. I thought noses were just curved looking triangles, but I was totally wrong, and I ended up just throwing it out. For the eyes, a long time ago I made a cowl out of cardboard that had this general shape, so I just sketched it out and cut it out of the corrugated cardboard, and then hot glued it together to give it the shape and taped everything together to let that hot glue dry. And this is me just pretending to know where eyes go on a face after realizing that they are way too high up. I guessed and checked about 5 more times before figuring out where the eyes actually should be. In order to give myself a more uniform surface to work on, I'm just going to cover this whole thing in masking tape, and then that should allow me to build out the features. And I'm just going to do that with aluminum foil. So I'm going to take the foil that I used in the first step and then rip that apart and slowly build out the features. So the nose, the chin, the mouth, around the eye sockets, and everything like that. After I've built out all the features with the foil, I'm going to move over to the horns, and Hellboy's horns are actually cut off. So they're kind of just like raised up flat discs that are glued to his forehead. So I'm going to just cut out 2 ovals in the corrugated cardboard and then put a little rim of cardboard around the edges so it's raised up, kind of the same thickness as a hockey puck almost, and put that on his forehead. I'm going to put some paper mache on the mask, and I'm going to start off by putting the toilet paper around the horns so it kind of looks like the horns are growing out of the flesh, and it looks a little bit more natural instead of just something stuck to his forehead, just so it looks like it's part of him. After that, I'll continue on to add some paper mache to the rest of the mask just to cover up the foil, because I don't want any of the foil to be showing, and the foil's pretty bumpy. I'll do a couple of layers of the paper mache, and then hopefully that'll smooth it out, and I can get rid of some of these bumps and the uneven surface. So I added the layers of paper mache off camera, and then I realized that the surface is still pretty bumpy and uneven. It looks very pockmarked and kind of, doesn't look realistic at all. So I am going to go in with spackle, just the spackle that you put on the wall, and mix that in with glue just to give it some strength so it doesn't crack, and kind of just glob it on the mask as if it were clay. And I'll just push that into it with my fingers, and then once that dries, I'll sand it down, and hopefully that'll be smooth enough. But if it's not smooth and it's still pockmarked, then I will put in another layer of the spackle and then sand that, and then hopefully that'll work. Okay, so I was able to get a relatively smooth surface for the skin. So I am going to take that outside and spray paint it in red. I only have a gloss red. I wish I had a matte red, but I only had gloss red spray paint. So I'll use that, and then I'll bring it back in and then paint over it. However, in the interim, I am going to just paint regular old computer sheets of paper in a black paint. And that I'll cut into strips, and then cut those strips into pieces of fringe in order to make the hair. So the spray paint is all dry, and I was right, the gloss spray paint just looks a little weird. It shouldn't be too shiny, so I'm going in with a duller matte red craft paint, and I'm just going to paint on top of that, and every so often I'm going to mix in some black just to make it look a little bit dirtier, a little bit more lived in, like real skin would look like. And for the horns, I'll make sure that the horns are a little bit darker than his skin, just so it doesn't look so flat. And once that dries, I will start to put on the hair in strips, and once that's done, I'll come back with a finished product. So there you have it, a Hellboy mask made from cardboard, tinfoil, and toilet paper. It's my first ever mask of a face, and I think it turned out pretty decent. This was a viewer requested video, so if you have any ideas on things I should make, please leave a comment below, and I'd love it if you would subscribe and like, it would really help me out. Thanks, and see you soon everyone. Bye-bye. You can make whatever you want out of regular household materials. You don't need to go out and buy something else like for this hobby. Of course, if you want to, by all means go do it, but you can totally make something really awesome, really cool looking with toilet paper, tin foil, a little bit of paint, lots of glue, tape, cardboard. You can do that. So this is like my first like mask as a face. I don't know how it's gonna come out, but you give it a little bit of time and you just fiddle with it, and then after a while, like, you learn and you grow and you know what to do for next time, and that's the whole point about all of this, is just to keep going and keep trying and keep making it work as best as you can.